for Ushba Tesoro, but it all works out. And now we have a contender for the juvenile turf out on the turf course right now. This is a live look at another Japanese contender, but for the juvenile turf.
Yeah, so this is Satono Carnaval out for a little gallop, and I believe Rachel King was scheduled to come in and gallop him today. So I think that may be her, the Australian jockey, who's coming out to ride the Breeders' Cup. We'll see if we can't confirm that. Absolutely. Yeah, it looks just like her from what we've seen in interviews. Haven't met her personally myself. This is a son of Kitasan Black. He's run twice so far. He is 2 for 2. He's very, very fast, and he's fresh into the race. We haven't seen him on track since mid-July, so he's able to come in and train up to this one. And great to see that she's also able to get a spin around the course herself in the early stages here of this training this week.
No question about that. We've always, especially on the turf course, we've talked about how unique and tight this turf course is, how experience plays out saving ground. It's good for her to get a trip around it, even though it is 40 feet from the rail out in the middle of the racetrack. But yeah, I mean, I don't know much about the horse's form here, but he certainly comes in looking the part. And as the theme as we've been talking about all week long, these Japanese horses coming off an extended break. Don't be worried about that. I'll reiterate it again. A lot of these good horses take the summer off because of the heat and humidity, and they're prepared for a fall campaign, and that's the case here. Beautiful mover. I mean, just floats over the ground.
So how do we assess the class? A Group 3 in Japan for this category versus, say, a Group 3 in France or a Group 3 in England or a Group 3 in Ireland? Are they all just Group 3s?
I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, you know, in Europe, I would say usually, you know, an English, French Group 3 is tougher than an Italian or a German Group 3. Now, as far as the Japanese go, I think it's hit and miss. I really do. They're usually full fields. What was this, 14 in here? I mean, I think you can absolutely, like, take a Japanese Group 3 at face value and say, yep, that's a Group 3 race.
And a winner of Group 3 company last time out, Satono Carnaval, out on the turf course here at Del Mar, and seems to be finishing up strong after the major part of the work here.
I like the way that horse goes a lot.
Yeah, and opened up a little bit. She was able to let him just kind of stretch his legs through the stretch. As far as some of the speed figures go, Thirgraph has some numbers on some of the races. In Japan, you don't see them all, but he did run a 9 in that last race in the Group 3 that you're mentioning. If you want to compare that to some of the other horses in the field, Mentee ran a 6 in the Futurity. He'll take a lot of money in the race. Ironman Cal, a 9 in the Zuma Beach. You're seeing a lot of sort of 8s, 9s, a 7 for Al Qudra, last out. So he's right there off that number.
Satono Carnaval, part of Future Stars Friday, headed towards the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf later this afternoon. We're going to be headed towards the post position draw and thinking about post positions for this particular race, which will be 1 mile on the turf at Del Mar. Inside, outside, where's the best place to be for a mile on the grass at Del Mar?
You don't want to be all the way outside. Okay. 13 and 14 are very difficult post positions to win from here at Del Mar. I wouldn't necessarily want the rail, but I'd rather be farther to the inside than hung all the way out wide. Somewhere in the middle would be ideal.
Simon, you said with Ushba Tesoro, we all got to see something that you hadn't seen in all your years in racing with that incident on the track. Did you ever think in your time in horse racing that you would watch a horse travel 5.5 furlongs on the turf in under a minute?
No.
Did you ever think that would happen?
No.
Well, Cogburn did that earlier this summer at Saratoga, and that was jaw-dropping, and he's never looked back since.